Hi, my name is Janelle Gibson. I'm a physical therapist, and we are here at the University Orthopedic Center. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit today about the pelvic floor.
Janelle, what is a pelvic floor physical therapist?
All physical therapists, regardless of specialization, diagnose and treat musculoskeletal dysfunctions. So we're kind of movement experts, and we really help people regain function, mobility, or improve those things. Pelvic health physical therapists specifically diagnose and treat issues within the pelvic floor muscles. We also treat anything in the pelvic region, so low back, hips, groin, tailbone, abdominal wall, everything down here, basically.
When you talk about the pelvic floor, can you tell us what it is and what organs are in it?
The pelvic floor is a group of muscles that sits like a sling underneath the pelvis and spans across the pelvis underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and show you on this model here. So first I'm going to orient you to the bony structures that make up the pelvis so that you can better understand the anatomy. And then we're going to go through what's inside of the pelvis and then the pelvic floor muscles themselves. So if we're looking directly here at the pelvis, we've got the right and left hip bones. We've got the pubic bone in the front. This piece of cartilage here is called the pubic symphysis. And then back here we have the last two vertebrae of the spine. If we turn this around, we have this triangle-shaped bone here called the sacrum. That forms the base of our spine, and then eventually that turns into the tailbone. So that bony ring here holds organs. So you can see inside now we have the bladder, the uterus, and then the rectum right back here. So if we go ahead and remove these, everything you can see underneath is that sling of muscles, and that's the pelvic floor. So you can see from this view here that the pelvic floor provides quite a bit of support for those organs. If we take a look and we turn the pelvis onto the back, now you're looking at the sit bones, the pubic bone, and then the tailbone back here. Again, everything you see in red is the pelvic floor. So now I'm going to go ahead and orient you to the genitalia to kind of help you better understand the anatomy down here. So here we have the clitoris. This is the urethra, which is the tube where our urine comes out. This is the vaginal opening. And then this right back here is the anus. So the pelvic floor surrounds the genitalia. What we're looking at here is we have three layers. So we have the first layer of the pelvic floor. It forms this triangle shape here, and that also includes the anus. We have a second layer of the pelvic floor right behind this first layer that we can't see very well on this model. And then we have our final layer of the pelvic floor. This is called the levator ani, and it travels from the back of the pubic bone and either surrounds the rectum or it goes back and attaches to the tailbone.
How can women know if they have a healthy pelvic floor, and how do they keep it healthy?
Great question. So a healthy pelvic floor is going to be a pelvic floor that doesn't show symptoms of dysfunction. So in order to know if your pelvic floor is functioning well, you just monitor. Are you experiencing any kind of urinary leakage, bowel leakage? Are you having painful intercourse? Have you always had painful intercourse? Are you experiencing any issues with heaviness or symptoms of prolapse, like things are falling down into that region? Do you have any issues with difficulty urinating, meaning it's hard to start your urine stream, or do you have urgency frequency, like you're going to the bathroom all the time? Those would be ways that you can check in and know if your pelvic floor is healthy. In addition to that, you would also monitor for pain in other regions in this area. So if you experience tailbone pain or pubic bone pain, those can both be signs that there's something maybe a little bit off within the pelvic floor. In regards to keeping or maintaining a healthy pelvic floor, again, it depends. So depending on, say if you do have a sign of pelvic floor dysfunction, we would want to know what that dysfunction is in order to know what kind of exercises you would need to do. You've probably heard of Kegels or Kegels before, and those are great exercises. They're not typically harmful unless you have a really overactive pelvic floor, but it's all about balance within those muscles. So the pelvic floor is just like any other muscle. you really have to be able to contract, you have to have a strong pelvic floor, but you also need to be able to lengthen and elongate those muscles, and both of those are equally as important.